Hello and welcome to another Benefit of the Doud review. I am your host, Adam Doud, and joining me as always is Mr. Cliff Thomas. Cliff, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Ready to show you guys some cool screen technology that you might not have had a chance to get your hands on. So
I'm excited to see it. And I said this on the last video, but I'm not sure which order these are going to appear on. But just wanted to say for the past week, Cliff's had a rough couple of weeks, kind of life gets in the way kind of thing. So apologies for not doing a video on the last Monday of March, but we are back and we're going hardcore now, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we are here today to take a look at a device that Mr. Cliff Thomas picked up. And I gotta say, like, you know, a lot of the devices that we review here, like, you know, oh yeah, that's really cool. This is one that I really would like to go hands-on with myself at some point. I just haven't had the time to do so. But Cliff, why don't you go ahead and take it away and tell us what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, so today we are reviewing the TCL or I think it's actually the TCL 40 NxtPaper. I've seen NxtPaper 40. Yes. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. There's a NxtPaper. There's a 40. It's fine.
So TCL has primarily released these in China and Europe, I think, and maybe some other countries. But the point is not here in the United States. And I'm specifically talking about phones with this screen technology, which we'll talk about the technology in a minute. So you can pick up, I think there's 2 different tablets and some more coming maybe around like the third quarter of this year that will have this screen technology. But again, just tablets, not phones as far as I know.
Right.
And the screen technology that we're talking about, it's in the name of the product, and that's NxtPaper. So what that is basically an IPS LCD display, and that it's like a glass sandwich of micro etched stuff that bends the light a little bit, and then like a satin finish on the actual screen itself. It's a lot of words just to say that what it's trying to do is give you the experience of like almost like a color e-ink display without the drawbacks of an e-ink display. Because there are actually now a few, I don't know if there's a color one, but there's definitely an e-paper display out there on a phone that is kind of unobtainium, but it is out there. I think it's actually Hisense that sells it. So the benefit of this, besides the fact that it looks like e-paper, is that it's also 90 hertz refresh rate. E-paper, if you've ever seen the way it refreshes, it kind of looks like you're moving
ridiculous.
Frame by frame, and it's very slow. And you know, and it's not what it's meant for. So this kind of bridges the gap, and honestly offers a lot of the benefits. And I think this is really what we're talking about in terms of wanting to check out. So. Just right off the top, I mean, when you take the phone out of the box, you're just like, whoa, it is so different, so cool. It's one of those things that honestly I didn't think would impress me as much as it did, as far as just like the first hands-on impression. And when you hold it up next to another phone, the first thing you notice is that because it's got that satin finish on the display along with the technology, there's just almost no glare. It's amazing.
Yeah. And the S24 Ultra also has that same anti-glare technology on the screen. And you're right, like you put it side by side with something, you're like, oh, it's the type of thing you don't even think about until you see it like side by side with something else, and you're like, oh, well, now that I have this, I don't want anything else ever. What the
S24 does, the Ultra has got a Gorilla Glass, I think it's called Armor, which is their newest, which is their newest mineral hardened glass that also, in this case, also has that anti-reflective coating on it, and it really does a great job. This is going above and beyond that. There's different ways maybe to get somewhat to the same result.
Yeah.
But again, just a little bit different. But before I show you the phone, before we look, I'm going to go very quickly over the hardware specs. So what's interesting is even though this feels like a really high-end screen, the devices from first of all, TCL comes from a space of offering a lot of value for the money, whether it's the TVs, tablets, pretty much even like they make like air conditioners and air filters and stuff that you can actually buy here in the US, but they're always very competitively priced. So this phone was for about 200 euros. And actually, when I imported it, I paid about 170, but then I had to pay the shipping costs, which are like, $25. And then you're also waiting for, actually, it didn't take that long to get here. It was like, it has to go through the customs. Yes, that's the word.
Yeah.
That's the word. But if it didn't have to go through customs, I think it would have been here in less than a week. It was actually pretty fast, and I didn't pay like extra for it anyway. So it was bad, and so I ended up paying about $200, which I think is like TCL's like MSRP for it. So yeah, basically about a $200 phone.
Okay,
so set your like expectations accordingly, right?
Right.
And the main talking about, as you'll see, the main talking point about this phone is the display technology. You see, everything else is just kind of mediocre. So TCL sells two different versions of this phone. I think it's the same display. There's a 4G and a 5G version. The difference is, and this is what's really weird, the 5G version, which typically when you're talking budget phones, the 5G version is, as an example, like the Moto G 5G versus like the Moto G Play. 5G version is always the higher spec version. Not the case here. Really weird.
Really? Okay.
TCL 40 NxtPaper 5G has a smaller screen, or it's a little bit smaller, but then like while the processor is more expensive, it has less RAM, has less storage space. I don't know why. I'm not going to ask questions.
That's a choice.
This is a really weirdly spec'd phone, and I'll explain why. Right? So it has 256 gigabytes of storage, 8 gigabytes of RAM.
All right.
So 8 gigabytes of RAM, right, in a phone that costs less than $200.
Right.
And plenty of storage. It has a 50 megapixel main camera, and then a couple of sticker cams, 5 megapixel ultra wide and a 2 megapixel macro. So, I mean, for its budget phone, 32 megapixel front facing camera. But so you got all this RAM, tons of storage, and then they give it a MediaTek Helio G88, which even by budget standards these days is pretty bad, relatively speaking, for a budget phone.
Okay.
And I think they kind of tried to throw some RAM at it in order to sort of help it with. Oh, and I think it's actually got I didn't mention the battery, but I believe it's got a 5,000 milliamp battery. Yeah, a 5,010 milliamp hour battery too.
Yeah, it sounds very TCL.
It does, right? And 33 watts charging if you use the not included charger. So actually, I guess if you were to purchase that separately, but in any case, so the specs aren't anything surprising except the fact that the G88 is kind of long in the tooth. It's a 12 nanometer processor, so not very efficient. And I guess I can go ahead and say I'll talk about battery life as well. Cheap. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess maybe we should just go hands-on with the phone.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Let's see what this screen display technology is all about. Are you bumping it over there?
Am I what?
All right, okay, I'll bump it over then.
Oh, okay.
Show on the stream. All right, you do whatever it is that you. Oh, you know what? I see it. Boop. Maybe we just move you up here. Ta-da!
Ta-da! Here we go.
We'll move that. That feels right.
Yes.
Yeah, that feels good. Okay, so this is a 6.78 inch display. So for 6.8 inch display, basically, I don't think we need to. You can see just from looking at the front of it there, it does have that budget phone look. And what I mean by that is you've got this giant chin down here.
Chin down at the bottom there, yep.
Chin down at the bottom, but I'm just going to see if I can, by tilting it, look at that. No glare.
There is no glare on that whatsoever.
Yeah, that little, I mean, you can see actually just from me moving it here, that satin sheen. It is amazing.
God,
And honestly, I'm
it
going to
looks
tell you,
so
like,
wild.
it is, and it's honestly, there's only so much that you can show in video, right? Like you're seeing this through an iPhone's camera. It's really hard to really understand what it's like until you see it in person. But so we'll go ahead and give you a hardware walk around. 32 megapixel punch hole. And actually you can see just like it almost looks like that punch hole camera is like floating on a sea of silk.
Yeah.
You can see the glass on it like reflecting versus okay.
And like even when the phone powers off, there's no glare. Like if I were to, because we've done a few, Skippy the review cam for phones here, and like when the phone turns off, you can see exactly, like, if I hold up this phone here, you can see like a huge reflection like of everything that's in front of me. And there's just nothing there, which is it's really cool. I mean, like I said, it's one of those small things that you barely even notice until you do notice it. And then you're like, oh my God.
And even just in the use of the phone, it has this very like, I'm not even sure what to compare it to, except actually the closest things probably if you've used like a OnePlus phone, a recent OnePlus phone that has like the silky feel on the back. That's the closest thing I can compare it to, where the satin finish. It's really pleasant to just run your finger up and down this. It's a very pleasant phone to use in just the basics. So on this side, you've got your power button with the fingerprint reader built in. Sorry, my hands are very trembly. Maybe I had too much caffeine, but and your volume button. Not much to see there besides
you're
that.
Nervous. It's okay.
No, it's actually I have probably something that my dad had. It's probably something I'm gonna have to address, but it's called well, it's a disease, but it's a disease of the nervous system that makes my hands shake a little bit. Yeah. Your 3 cameras on the back, and they let you know that it's an AI camera. They got to let you know.
Oh, it's an AI camera. Oh, that makes all the difference. Okay, everybody, let's get to the board here. It's got AI.
So plastic frame and plastic back. And I actually like this color. It's not gaudy. I think this is actually the only color it's available in. But you see it changes color in the light a little bit.
Right. The midnight blue opalescent.
Opalescent. It is definitely opalescent. And I actually like it's very again, despite it being sort of that has that shimmer to it, overall, just a very simple design that's maybe a little understated. You have the TCL logo that it's actually not silk screened or anything on there. It's just a different finish. So you can see, so it changes in the light.
That's fun.
All right, so we've done, it's nice. And then on this side, you just have your SIM tray. Oh, that's it. Nice. It does have, this is where I'm going to have a look, because I've got my camera so low. So let me see if I can. So your USB-C.
Hey, a headphone jack.
Yeah, and then your one mono speaker there. And on the top, absolutely nothing except a microphone.
Right. Okay.
So as far as like the hardware design is concerned, it's really nothing differentiating it from previous TCL phones that we've reviewed on the channel in the past, except for the screen. I mean, if you were to see this on a shelf, you would just think budget phone until you get to the display. And that's it really is, that's the magic of this phone. Otherwise, it's very much just your average TCL phone in terms of the software and things that you've seen for the past few years. One thing if you've watched our reviews before, I'm just going to talk about the fact that they got rid of the folder thing, so you can no longer
swipe. Man, really? That's disappointing.
I know. I really missed that. You've got the optimize button, which TCL has had for quite a while. Software-wise, it's pretty much what you're going to expect. Just a lightly customized version of Android until you get to the NxtPaper, or they call this Next Vision. But okay, so there's NxtPaper and NxtPaper mode, and the Next Vision. Next Vision basically, as we've covered in TCL, which we haven't reviewed a TCL on a phone, so it's worth talking about.
It's been a while,
It basically is just settings within the display, and we should talk about the fact that TCL does make their own displays, including this really cool one here. But you've got different modes for reading, eye comfort, which is going to filter out some of the blue light that is already not being filtered out by the display, because this does actually, some of the technology with NxtPaper is that it does try to filter out some of that blue light and make it easier on your eyes. Right now I have the color mode set to vivid, so I think this is just the box, the image, how it comes out of the box, and they try to give you a little animation here that shows what it looks like with and without that. So as on previous TCL phones, I actually do keep Next Vision on. It's not like HDR in terms of it just being kind of generic, boosting all the saturation and things. Like I actually feel like it's worth having on, especially on phones that don't have this display, because it does make the screen look better. But we're going to go to NxtPaper mode, and you can see here you've got two different options. Maybe I'll just bring it up a little bit closer because this is a little hard to read. But you can actually do either a simulation of color paper or ink paper. And I know that the finish on the display, I called it matte or silk screen, but I know they're actually trying to replicate the feel of like of paper, which this also does support a stylus if that's something that you're interested in. But I'm just going to turn on the effect. I think I have to select it first.
I'm going to try to turn on the effect.
So it does this little animation.
Okay.
I believe this is the black and white. But as you can see, it's got it down to a very low contrast, almost like an e-ink display.
Yeah.
Which, especially at night, I think it definitely makes it easier to read. And I've actually got on here, I've got up the Kindle app just to show you. The fact that now, between the combination of the screen and the NxtPaper mode, it almost feels like e-ink with the screen itself and the contrast. Very easy on the eyes. I'm really glad that they included this. And then I'll just show you we'll go back to NxtPaper mode. And right now it's sent to ink paper, but I'm going to switch it to color paper. And even in this, it's attempting to replicate a color e-ink display, much less contrasty than like your standard like LCD display. Again, they're trying to be easy on the eyes. So this is some of the extra stuff that they've done, that they've included in the software, that it's more than just a value add. It's the whole point of the phone, honestly, is that you can have it's like almost like a Swiss Army knife for your eyes, and that you can have more of like your traditional phone experience, or especially if you do a lot of reading, or if you're spending a lot of time in low light. Having this effect on it really is helpful for eye strain and things like that. So I'm going to turn off the mode just so you can see the difference. All right. So I'm automatically.
I have to think like the whole point, and I am not a business analyst by any stretch of the imagination, but I have to think like the whole point of these phones is more just to showcase the screen technology rather than to actually sell phones. Because I think like if another OEM picks up on this and says, hey, this NxtPaper stuff is pretty cool, maybe we can put it into our phones. I have to wonder if maybe that's a business model that TCL is going after.
I would not be surprised. And honestly, it is a great showcase for it. The other side of that too is I think when you're talking about low-end phones, right, or inexpensive phones. One second. I think the speaker has started. Wake up my headphones over there. Anyway, I think the point is how do you differentiate on a phone that costs $200-ish, right? This is a great way, because otherwise
that's a great way to differentiate.
Otherwise, you're just differentiating on specs, and when your margins are as low as they are, there's not too much that you can throw into a phone that costs this much that's really going to make an impact on what people are going to see and make a decision like that. So this is truly a differentiating feature with this phone. I will say, and I said this at the beginning, the display is what sells this phone. The camera and video are not, and I'm going to show you why. We're just going to bring up the photos and video that I took with this camera just to show you. Again, all right, here we go. Show on stream. All right.
Okay. It's kitty cat. Hi, kitty cat.
So here's the thing. This I don't know why it's got that little angle on it. Maybe that, so I'm in Adobe Acrobat right now, and when it put it all into one PDF, I think it just kind of yeah, it's not my friend. Okay. So to say that this camera struggles in low light, especially with like just focusing as an example, is an understatement. Now you can look at this, especially on the stream, and you're like, oh, that's not a bad picture. This is the best that I got while trying to take a picture of my cat. And she really was not moving around that much. The other ones were just completely blurred. And I'm trying to zoom in here. Let's see. When we actually zoom in here a little bit.
Oh, it gets worse. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there is not a hair. Even the eyes are just not in focus. And this is, you know,
very
look,
soft.
I mean, I have natural light coming into this room. So, you know, I'm not going to sit here and bash the camera, but you're definitely not buying this for the camera. This picture is also really bad. Now, this is not on like portrait mode or anything like this. This is just straight out of the camera. And if you look up to the left there is a big window that was open. And yet this is the best. It's still less than perfect light, but it's not great. I'm not even going to do you guys I don't want to destroy your eyes by zooming in, but you know, this is outside. This is the difference, right? So this is not too bad. Like, honestly, I feel like, you know, for outdoor pictures, as long as the subject's not moving, it's really not too bad. I really tried. My finger is in this shot, but I really wanted to show it because I wanted to make it struggle just a little bit with dynamic range, because I had the seat itself on this metal bench was really dark, but you can see the sun coming through. But I also wanted to play with the focus a little bit, and the pictures definitely run a little warm. I have definitely noticed that, and I mean, it's not too bad, but again, it's not a good phone for it, especially if you play with focus at all. It is it's slow to adjust. The pictures aren't great. And here, so I did include another one. This was, you know, another picture taken where I'm telling it to focus and it's not, with my cat. Okay. So another more pictures taken outside. Like, honestly, this is not a bad picture.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's not bad.
That's
I'm not
legit.
gonna, again. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine for social media, especially outside. I think that's it. And then I'm also going to show you. No, I don't want to save the binder. Thanks, Acrobat. And we'll go to video real quick. Now, this is the real struggle bus. Honestly, as bad as the camera was for photos, I mean, the video. I am stationary. I am not moving. And I just wanted to get moving subjects as they're going by, which is not even the worst part. It's that there's no stabilization whatsoever. Now, you saw that I have shaky hands, so there's no surprise here.
Right.
But I mean, that's terrible. Yeah. You can see this. I just wanted to see if it focus hunts at all with this video. But it's just grainy. It's grainy. It doesn't minimize my handshake at all like other budget phones that I've used. It's just not a good camera. It's just not,
fair enough.
Which is, you know, that's fine. Because this is trying to get you off. Okay, hide on stream. Here we go. This is, in the end, a phone that I paid $170 for. I wasn't expecting the cameras to be great. I just maybe hope for a little more, because I've used TCL phones where the camera was better. And it's sad that they seem to have regressed, or maybe what I was using was a little better. But so, again, not to beat a dead horse, but
it's a screen.
It's a
screen. Buy it for the screen.
This is a screen with a phone attached to it, and it is. If you haven't seen one, if you're looking for like a budget tablet, for example, even though we're reviewing this phone, but you can get on sale like an 11-inch tablet that has this screen technology for around like $250.
That's not bad.
I would, especially if you do a lot of like reading on it. I think this is, just for the screen technology itself, is a really great phone. I forgot to mention, this has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, but because it's a Helio G88 with 12 nanometer manufacturing process, which basically means it's not a very efficient processor. It struggles to get through a day.
Really? Okay.
Yes, which makes me wonder. It makes me wonder how much of that is maybe the display technology. I don't know. I mean, it's an LCD, so think. But that's another caveat to it. So yeah, amazing. It's an amazing screen technology. It's by far what sells this phone, and I would recommend it for somebody that really does a lot of reading on their phone, and maybe, I mean, video on it is also very pleasant because of that. But that's, I mean, it really is just, to me, like, I would almost consider this like an e-reader that just happens to have a camera stuck on the back and has connectivity for using it as a cell phone.
Yeah, totally get it. But
I will say, bringing this to the United States, I didn't have any issues with, because it is 4G only. I've been using it on T-Mobile's network, and it's fine. I get about 30 megabits per second down and like 3 or 4 up, about what I would expect for my area with a 4G LTE phone. But yep, that's my review of it. And if you want a connected e-reader, consider this phone. If
you want a connected e-reader, then yeah, this is the phone for you. All right, cool.
Just don't use the camera.
Yeah, just it's fine. Yeah, just carry a second phone with you. Everything.
There you go.
But all right, cool. Well, I appreciate you giving us that deep dive into the. I'm like really interested in the NxtPaper display, so hopefully I'll get my hands on one someday. But for now, I appreciate you sharing that with us. So as for this, that's going to do it for this particular review on the benefit of the Doud YouTube channel. So appreciate you appreciate you stopping by to show us all about the NxtPaper display, because there's really nothing else worthy to talk about on the phone. Don't be, and for those of you watching at home, be sure to like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff, comment down below. Have you used the NxtPaper display? What do you think of it? Do you have a phone now that has a NxtPaper display or a tablet? Let us know down in the comments. But for now, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I want to thank Cliff for coming by and showing us all about that. But most of all, and as always, I'd like to thank you for watching and for giving us the benefit of the Doud.